Think your automatic is built to handle anything? Think again. Every day, millions of drivers are quietly destroying their transmissions without even realizing it. And the worst part? These aren't dramatic high-speed stunts. They're the tiny, harmless habits you repeat every time you drive. From how you stop at a red light to what happens when you roll down a hill in neutral, these simple moves can turn your smooth ride into a ticking time bomb. Most people won't notice the damage until it's too late, when the repair bill hits 4 figures and the transmission's begging for mercy. In this video, we're exposing the 15 everyday mistakes that slowly kill automatic cars, plus a bonus tip at the end that can add years to your transmission's life. Let's start with the one mistake almost every driver makes when their fuel gauge hits E. Most drivers think running on empty just means you'll need to stop for gas soon. But what's actually happening under your car's skin is far more dangerous. Inside your tank, the fuel pump relies on gasoline to stay cool. When the tank runs low, that cooling effect disappears, and the pump starts overheating. Do it often enough, and you're quietly shaving years off its life. Replacing a burned-out pump isn't cheap, and the worst part is, the damage builds up long before you ever get a warning light. But that's not all. Every tank has sediment at the bottom, grit, debris, tiny particles that settle over time. When you drive on empty, the pump sucks up that sludge like a straw in the last sip of a milkshake. That gunk gets sent straight into your fuel filter, clogging it, choking performance, and in the worst cases, damaging expensive parts of your fuel system. All because you wanted to push it a little further before filling up. The fix is simple. Keep your tank at least a quarter full. That one habit alone can save you hundreds in repairs. But if you think that's bad, wait until you hear what happens when drivers shift into neutral on a downhill stretch. A move that seems smart, but can backfire fast. Some drivers swear by coasting in neutral to save gas on downhill stretches. It sounds clever. Less engine work, less fuel, right? Wrong. In modern cars, that fuel-saving trick actually wastes more fuel and quietly wears out your transmission in ways most people never think about. Here's the truth. When you let your car roll in gear, modern fuel injection systems automatically cut fuel flow as you decelerate. That means your engine's practically sipping nothing. But when you shift into neutral, the engine has to idle the entire way down, burning more fuel than if you just stayed in gear. The hack backfires. And it's not just about fuel. Shifting into neutral strips, you have instant power. If something happens, a sudden obstacle, a car merging too close, you've got no torque on demand. That split-second delay to shift back into drive can be the difference between a clean escape and a nasty accident. Even worse, when you throw it back into drive while the engine's idling and the wheels are moving, you're putting stress on the drivetrain. Over time, that shock wears out internal components and forces your brakes to do all the work, since the engine's no longer helping you slow down. So, while neutral coasting might feel smooth, under the surface it's slowly stacking up problems. But that's nothing compared to what happens when water gets involved. Because a deep puddle can kill your transmission faster than you'd ever expect. You see a stretch of water on the road and think, it's just a puddle, I'll roll through. But what's hiding under that calm surface could destroy your transmission in a matter of hours. Your transmission has vents designed to release internal pressure. They're great for letting heat and gases escape, but they're also the perfect way for water to sneak in. In most everyday cars, these vents sit low, right on the transmission itself. Drive through deep water, and those vents act like a vacuum, sucking in every drop. Once water mixes with transmission fluid, the real damage begins. The fluid turns into a milky sludge that strips away the glue holding your clutch packs together. Those clutch plates, they were what let your gears engage smoothly, and when they break down, slipping starts almost immediately. The kicker? By the time you notice something's wrong, it's already too late. Draining the fluid won't reverse the damage. The internal components are already compromised. In some cases, a single drive through standing water can set off a chain reaction that leads to full transmission failure within days. And that's not a small repair. We're talking thousands. So the next time you see that deceptively innocent puddle, remember this. Oil and water don't mix. And your transmission isn't built for swimming. But the real heat often hits when the car isn't moving at all, like when you're just sitting at a red light, unknowingly cooking your transmission from the inside. You're sitting at a red light, foot on the brake, car in drive. Seems harmless, right? But under the hood, something's happening that most drivers never think about, and it's quietly cooking your transmission. When your car is in drive but not moving, the torque converter is still hard at work. It's forcing transmission fluid to circulate while the engine idles. This constant shearing builds heat, and on a hot day, that temperature can spike by over 50 degrees Fahrenheit in just a few minutes. That extra heat doesn't just disappear, it strains seals, thins out fluid, and slowly wears down your transmission from the inside. Shift into neutral instead, and suddenly the pressure is off. The fluid circulates without fighting the torque converter. Heat buildup slows, and the stress on your system drops dramatically. Over time, this tiny habit difference can mean the life or death of your transmission. And here's the kicker. Many transmission failures don't happen while you're driving aggressively. They start with small, repetitive stress at stoplights that nobody notices until it's too late. But while heat can break your transmission when you're standing still, cold can damage it before you even shift out of park. That's right, chilly mornings come with their own hidden trap. On a freezing morning, most drivers jump in, start the car, and shift into gear without a second thought. But your transmission isn't ready yet, and that one rushed move can quietly cause serious damage over time. Unlike your engine, which relies on combustion heat, your transmission depends on hydraulic fluid to operate smoothly. When temperatures drop, that fluid thickens like cold syrup. It struggles to flow through narrow channels, delaying shifts and forcing internal components to work against added resistance. Every sluggish gear change is your transmission, crying out for a few extra seconds of patience. Give the fluid a moment to circulate before driving off. Letting your car idle briefly allows the transmission to reach a functional temperature, keeping gear changes crisp and reducing strain on clutch packs, seals, and valves. It's a tiny investment of time that can prevent years of wear. And here's another sneaky habit that adds up. Resting your hand on the gear selector. It feels natural, but that subtle pressure pushes on internal shift forks, causing micro wear with every bump and vibration. Over time, those harmless moments translate into expensive internal damage. But even if you treat your transmission with care, ignoring the glowing warning lights on your dash is like driving blindfolded. And the consequences can hit fast. Those little warning lights on your dash aren't just there for decoration. They're your car's way of screaming before something expensive breaks. Too many drivers brush them off, and by the time they pay attention, the damage is already done. Start with the transmission temperature light. If that light comes on, your transmission is overheating. Keep driving, and you're essentially cooking seals, thinning fluid, and setting the stage for clutch failure. A few more miles like that, and you're looking at a repair bill that can easily climb into the thousands. Then there's the oil pressure light. Ignore it, and you're letting metal grind against metal without proper lubrication. It's one of the fastest ways to wear down your engine, and sometimes it gives you less than a minute before serious internal damage begins. And don't overlook the battery warning light. It's not just about starting the car. If your charging system fails while driving, you could lose essential functions mid-trip. Power steering, ABS, even transmission control modules can go down without steady voltage. That's a dangerous situation you don't want to discover at highway speeds. But dashboard neglect isn't the only silent killer. Some drivers actually make things worse by turning off their car before it's in park. That might not break anything immediately, but it disconnects the input shaft from the torquey converter in a way the system wasn't designed for. Over time, that mismatch can lead to internal wear and misalignment issues, not to mention the risk of your car rolling if you forget to shift fully. And let's not forget hard acceleration and parking mistakes. Constantly flooring it from a stop might feel thrilling, but it piles stress on engine mounts, suspension bushings, and transmission components that aren't meant to take that kind of beating every day. And shifting into park while the car is still moving, that's a grinding metal-on-metal nightmare waiting to happen. Ignoring the lights is like ignoring the check engine light of your entire drivetrain. But what's worse is believing the biggest myth of all, that your transmission fluid lasts forever. If someone told you your transmission fluid lasts forever, they lied. The phrase lifetime fluid is one of the most dangerous myths in the automotive world, and it's cost countless drivers their transmissions. Inside your transmission, gears, clutches, and bearings are constantly meshing at high speeds. That creates friction and heat, and over time, even the best fluid breaks down. It loses its protective properties, turns dark, starts to smell burnt, and can no longer keep components separated the way it should. And when that thin line of protection disappears, metal starts meeting metal, fast. Changing your transmission fluid every 50,000 miles or so isn't just good maintenance. It's what keeps your transmission alive. Ignore it, and you're practically signing up for overheating, slipping gears, and eventual failure. Then there's the parking habit almost everyone overlooks, not using the handbrake. When you shift into park, a small metal part called the parking pawl locks the output shaft in place. It's tough, but it was never designed to hold the entire weight of your car, especially on a hill. Skip the handbrake, and all that pressure slams onto the pawl. Over time, it can wear down, bend, or even snap. And if that happens, your car can roll away even while in park. Some drivers make it worse by shifting between drive and reverse while still moving. Older cars have no tolerance for that abuse. It grinds internal parts and can lead to catastrophic failure. Newer cars have safety systems that block gear engagement until you stop, but pushing that limit repeatedly still puts stress on the system. The scary part? None of these issues show up overnight. They creep in slowly, until one day your car won't shift, won't hold, or worse, starts rolling unexpectedly. But if you think gear abuse is bad, wait until you see what happens when panic and snow meet the gas pedal. That's when transmissions face their biggest stress test. Picture this. You're stuck in the snow, wheels spinning, frustration rising. Most drivers slam the gas, thinking more power will get them out. But that panicked reaction is exactly how transmissions die in winter. When you floor it while stuck, your wheels spin freely while the transmission pumps out maximum torque. With nowhere for that power to go, heat skyrockets inside the transmission. The fluid starts to break down, clutches overheat, and critical components face stress they were never meant to handle. Do this long enough, and you're just one rev away from a burnt-out transmission. Here's what actually works. Ease into reverse gently. Give the car a chance to rock back slightly, and avoid overloading the system. If that doesn't work, use traction boosters, a bag of non-clumping cat litter, sand, or even pieces of old carpet under the drive wheels. For front-wheel drive, focus on the front. For rear wheel, the back. If you're driving a truck or SUV, switching to low-range settings gives you control and traction without overworking the transmission. And now, the bonus tip that can quietly extend your transmission's life by years. Avoid long exposure to direct sunlight. It sounds harmless, but parking under the scorching sun doesn't just bake the interior. It also heats everything under the hood, including your transmission. Over time, that extra heat dries out seals, breaks down fluid faster, and causes sluggish shifts. UV rays also attack your car's paint, headlights, and even your tires, fading finishes and cracking rubber. The fix is simple. Whenever possible, park in the shade. If that's not an option, use a windshield sunshade or a car cover. It's a tiny habit that protects not just your transmission, but your entire vehicle's lifespan. Most drivers think transmission problems happen suddenly. One big failure, one loud clunk, one uh-oh moment. But the truth is, it's the small habits that slowly destroy your car from the inside out. Running on empty, coasting in neutral, ignoring warning lights, letting heat build at stoplights, revving in snow. Every one of these choices might feel harmless in the moment, but together, they're like a slow drip wearing away steel. The difference between a transmission that lasts 80,000 miles and one that cruises past 200,000 often comes down to these everyday decisions. A few smart habits can mean the difference between smooth, worry-free driving and a repair bill that wipes out your savings. So here's the takeaway. Respect the machine. Your automatic transmission may feel effortless, but it's a finely tuned system working hard behind the scenes. Treat it right, and it'll repay you with years of reliability. Ignore it, and the damage won't just hit your car, it'll hit your wallet. Now, I want to hear from you. What's the worst transmission mistake you've ever seen someone make? Drop it in the comments. Let's see which bad habit tops the list. And if you found this breakdown useful, don't miss the next one. 17 common oil change mistakes most drivers still make. Because even something as simple as an oil change can go wrong in ways that quietly wreck your engine. Tap that next video, and I'll show you exactly what to avoid.